Spring training is underway, and we have just gotten a couple of huge updates about the 2025 New York Mets from Carlos Mendoza himself. SNY was on the scene to discuss all the future plans and what is upcoming for spring training with the New York Mets, and we are going to break it down into 3 segments about what Carlos Mendoza had to say about the future of this team. What is going on, everybody? Welcome on in, and you are locked in to this night edition of Mets Digest with your host, Michael DeAngelo. As you see on the screen, we are at a little under 4,000 subscribers. I gotta ask that you guys please hit the subscribe button because me and Flobo Boys have been on top of everything so far this offseason. Any report, trade rumor, free agency signing, trade rumor, I already said that. Anything like that, this is your one-stop shop for everything New York Mets baseball. And we're just going to keep it going here, keep it rolling. And anything we got for you guys, we will put out a video for it. Remember, as soon as we get to 4,000 subscribers, I will be doing my next giveaway on my Twitter or my X, whatever you want to call it. I will be doing a giveaway once we hit 4,000 subscribers. So please tell your friends, tell your family, tell your cousin, tell your dog that they need to subscribe to Mets Digest because it's the best news breaking Mets channel on YouTube. Now let's get started. So today, media availability for Carlos Mendoza today, and he gave a bunch of huge updates about the team. So let's jump right into it. And this one was regarding the infield with especially second base. We've heard trade rumors about Jeff McNeil at the beginning of the offseason. Obviously, a lot of questions about what Brett Baty's role is going to be on this team going forward. Of course, the signing of Nick Madrigal, and as well as Luis Angel Acuna, who is going to be a borderline major league player this season. So this was the first part of the article from SNY, and it states that with Francisco Lindor at shortstop, Pete Alonso back, Mark Vientos will stay at third base, not sliding across the diamond. The Mets have one spot that is undecided as camp begins. Mendoza would not declare Jeff McNeil as the starting second baseman, but strongly hinted it was his job to lose. That Jeff is pretty much right there as far as being the regular second baseman. However, with lots of different players getting reps at second base, including Brett Baty and Luis Angel Acuna, who will both get time at third base as well. Jet Williams will also get some time at second base in spring training, as well as the outfield where he could play center field as well. Speaking about Baty specifically, Mendoza said that while he might play some outfield during the spring training, he would mainly be on the infield. We're going to keep him in on the dirt as much as possible. We're going to give him some exposure at second base as well. This is a position where he went down to AAA. He played a lot. We want to see for ourselves. If Baty's able to handle second base in addition to third base and perhaps a corner outfield spot, which does have a little bit of experience in left field, he could be in the mix for one of the final spots on the bench, though the competition there will include Nick Madrigal, who Mendoza said will get some looks at shortstop during camp. If Madrigal can handle it, that could give him an inside track as the backup infielder since the Mets, unless they carry Acuna. So there's a good sticky situation going on right now with the Mets and their infield. What we know right now is from the small sample size that we got from Luis Angel Acuna. Of course, there is now big expectations for him to come up and possibly take the starting second base job from Jeff McNeil. Now, you guys have already heard me voice my opinions. I think we should be trading Jeff McNeil for some pitching. But, obviously I'm not a GM. It doesn't work like that. It's not that simple. Flobo made a video about, possibly Dylan Cease still on the trade block, still, with the Padres trying to find a suitor. John Heyman recently uploaded an article tonight saying that the Mets should be in full-on go mode to try and trade for Dylan Cease. It's not official. It's just a proposal. But, the asking price for a guy like that right now is going to be extremely high. They're going to try and get Brandon Sproat from us, who is now our number one prospect. I'm sure if I were David Stearns, I would be staying far away from that as much as possible. Manny Machado might not be a Padre for much longer. So Brett Beatty would be a great fit for them, as well as, maybe Ronnie Mauricio, who I do not want to get rid of. They might want Luis Angel Acuna too. A lot of good guys that we have grown a heart for that would probably have to be let go in that trade. And so that's why when you look at the pitching rotation, which we're about to get into right now, and you look at our young prospects coming up, we need all the prospects we can get right now. We don't want more guys that we could pay more money for. If you trade for Dylan Cease, you're only getting him for this 1 year, and then you're going to have to pay him money if you want him back. So it's really up to the Mets. Kodai Senga has an opt-out after this year, so you're going to have to be paying him more money. I find it very difficult for the Mets to really make out in this situation. So, let's move on. You guys get what I'm saying. Regarding the pitching, which I said I would get into, it has been revealed by Carlos Mendoza that there will be, in fact, a 6-man rotation, which, if you guys know Mets medical history, it is pretty much essential now for the Mets to have a 6-man rotation. Kodai Senga said on Tuesday after arriving in the camp that he's not worried about all at his health following the 2024 season, which was lost due to injuries. Mendoza said that if Senga remains healthy, there's a good chance the plan will be to use a 6-man rotation. We got options at a lot of depth, he said. It's fair to believe that the main competitors for the 6th spot in the rotation will be Paul Blackburn, Griffin Canning, and Tylor Megill, the latter of whom will be stretched out to start and is not viewed as an immediate option for the bullpen. Later on in this season, it's possible that pitching prospect Brandon Sproat could be a rotation option. In my opinion, I think this is Paul Blackburn's spot to lose especially like for the 6-man in the rotation. I mean, look, we have a very small sample size of what we got. He was riddled with injuries all of last season. He never really got up to full health, and you can kind of tell that he was just struggling out there anytime he stepped out on the mound. But you got to realize Paul Blackburn's last full season in the major leagues, he was an all-star for the Oakland Athletics. So I think it's his job that he's got to win and earn in spring training. But if you're just getting a normal Paul Blackburn here, I don't see any situation where he doesn't win that 6th spot. I really see Griffin Canning being that long reliever. Same with Tylor Megill as well. These could be guys that you could trade off as well if you're looking, to possibly pick up Dylan Cease or Michael King, especially a guy like Tylor Megill who's still pretty young, from California as well, from the California area. You have a lot of options here, and like Mendoza said, a ton of depth. So, the Mets are definitely prepared for guys to get injured this year, for guys to be struggling, have to be sent down to AAA. And so this bullpen is just going to, or this pitching rotation is going to straight up run off of depth. And if you look at the rotation now, we know that it is pretty much the likes of Kodai Senga, Clay Holmes, Sean Manaea, David Peterson, Paul Blackburn, and Frankie Montas. So that's like kind of the 6 that you're really looking at right here, with Griffin Canning and Tylor Megill looking on the outside. And what I want to get to down below, if you were thinking about maybe Jose Buto trying out to be a starter, it seems like that's not going to happen this year. As let me change the angle real quick. Not part of the aforementioned rotation battle, Buto, who will work as a reliever, with the idea being for him to be able to throw around 40 to 45 pitches per outing if needed, Mendoza said. This is a great situation because to have like 2 long relievers in that bullpen, being probably Griffin Canning and Jose Buto, or Tylor Megill and Jose Buto, this just gives the pitching staff as a whole a lot of cushioning when it comes to guys having bad starts, or, guys just not being on top of their games for a stretch of the season. This could come down to just, the Mets just winning with full-on depth. I mean, they have a lot of options to work with here. And they have definitely built up. I mean, look, it's not very big named, very star playery. Um, but I like the way that David Stearns has built his pitching staff this year. And, hearing that Jose Buto is going to have around the same plan as he did last season, where he will be that long reliever coming in the sixth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth inning and being able to throw like 2 or 3 innings is going to be absolutely huge, because we already know that our setup men for Edwin Diaz are never that bright. I mean, Drew Smith had his moments and, is ultimately still injured. We haven't heard anything about his timeline to recovery at all. So hearing that Jose Buto could be that guy that can come in and throw 40 pitches, he did it at a very elite and clutch level for the Mets last season. So being able to do that in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning, and then having Diaz come in for the 9th is going to be huge. I mean, AJ Minter, too, is a wonderful lefty who we have just gotten updates about his injury, and we will get into that right now. About AJ Minter and my guy, as y'all know, Ronnie Mauricio. I told you guys he was going to be back. Some people were in the comments like, Mike, he hasn't even been doing anything. He's been on the couch. Like, what do you mean that he's going to be? Hold your horses. He is running, fielding grounders, taking batting practice, but with the expectation, is that he won't be playing in spring training games until the middle of March. So he's not going to be ready for the beginning of spring training, but is looking like that he will be making a return at some point in time to rightfully claim the designated hitter spot. That's my dream. I know it probably won't happen. I mean, with this news about Jeff McNeil now, with his second base being up in the air, this could be now of a focal point that he could be back in the outfield, could be taking reps in right field for Juan Soto, and Juan Soto could be that DH. I know you're paying that guy, $700 and whatever million it is now to be a DH, which sounds really ridiculous, but look, it's a 162 game season. You want to keep him healthy. I like the idea of Jeff McNeil playing out there once every 3 days or once every 2 days and giving Juan Soto some rest out there and just leaving him at the DH. Because right now our starting DH is Jesse Winker. And if you look at the small sample size that Jesse Winker gave us last season, it is not that impressive. So to have Juan Soto be able to DH and get Jeff McNeil back and keep him in the lineup as a lefty bat, being in right field, if Luis Angel Acuna doesn't end up, showing much talent still, it's a good problem for the Mets to have. Now, as far as getting back into the pitching with AJ Minter, like I mentioned before, he is recovering from off-season hip surgery and is in a good spot, Mendoza says. Minter is scheduled to throw his first bullpen session at the end of February with the goal of him being ready for opening day. So we don't know about his spring training schedule and if we will see much of him during spring training, but we do know that he will be ready for the regular season. And that is all I have for you guys here today on Mets Digest. All the updates we got from spring training. We're going to get much, much more as time goes along and more guys are coming in and reporting and going to start ramping up for the season to come soon. So keep it right here and watch every video. Leave a like down below and let me know in the comments what you guys think about the future of this team going forward and what the lineup's looking like. And I will see you guys in the next video. Good night, y'all.